Hey folks, back again. I got Simon, I got Dan,
Hello.
and we've got a show and tell.
Yeah.
All right, so this week's subject is things that inspired us. So I kind of want to do a video about the sort of inspirations around the retro scene as a whole. Probably a really clickbaity top 10 inspirations for the retro scene is coming. But for us personally was my plan for this week. So cars that inspired us either to get into cars or to get into the modified sort of stuff. And I'm gonna go to Simon because he's in the car archive.
Oh, God, I am in the car archive. It's good, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, this is sort of a favourites and inspirations. I'm just trying to think. When I started off, I bought the first issue of Street Machine back in '79, something like that. So everything in there was just like wild, and it's all Beatles and Mark II Zephyrs and stuff like that. And then stuff a bit later on. Oh, look, I've dug it out.
Where's he going? Oh,
but I've got this for you. Who knows what that is?
It's a magazine.
That's right. He's all good at this, Dan. Yes, it's Humongous.
10 points to Dan.
Which is, and one of the reasons this is a bit of an influence is because hot rods are often built on the same things all the time, especially in America. But Troy Trapano came along and just built a car that nobody was particularly interested in this really cool modern style, which was all like Beatles and stuff, were all pretty colours and stuff. And I just think Humongous was a huge step for me, just in the thinking things are weird. And that was, when was that? That's actually quite late. That's 1992. Yeah.
That's later than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. But the other thing, and I thought of one particular car, it took me a while to find this one. Excuse me for just digging in the car archive, but if I can't, what's it for?
Indeed.
So you're in the perfect position there to be reminiscing about cars that inspired you, because you can show us the crab of a mag.
Yeah. You see this Celica?
Yes.
With Sentras on it. That
cool.
Appeared in an article in 1986 written by Colin Burnham, who built the red Street Machine Cowlook Beetle. It just showed that you can just sort of cowlook anything, that like you can apply any style to anything. And obviously that stuff was going on in motivation drawings of Steve Kirk and all that sort of stuff all the time. But that particular car there in 1986 just made you think, well, hang on a minute, it's just like a modern Japanese car. In 86, that was a modern Japanese car.
Brand new.
So that's
almost brand new, yeah.
A super influence. And while I've got magazines in front of me, because I'm just going to keep doing this, you can't stop me now, I've got one more. One more. I mean, I could go on forever about cars that influenced me and that I loved. And of course, this one's quite late in the day. Vaux Amazon.
Oh, of course, the Vaux Amazon.
Vaux Amazon, also the Guy Martin Amazon these days. But look at it.
He's still got it.
What?
Yeah,
he's never going to get rid of it. He loves that machine, but crikey.
It's the greatest thing that's ever existed. Why didn't I think of it?
We liked it before it was famous. There you go.
We did.
That's it. We were into it before, but what a bloody car that is. What an amazing car. It's just perfection. It's retro perfection. That's what that is. It's an estate. It's an old Volvo. It's not too much. It's not too little. Look at it. Oh.
I think basically we peaked at that point. It was all downhill from there.
Well, maybe.
Oh, God.
The scene never achieved those heights. No, it's fine. I think we surpassed them subsequently, but that car was pretty amazing. Simon's got something else, hasn't he?
Not from me. Oh, yeah, there is. Oh, yeah, I have actually. Yeah, hang on.
I thought you did. You had a look about you that looked made shifty for a second.
It's funny because I forgot, but yes, there is on the floor here another thing from the car.
Oh my God! Boom. Oh yes, Tom Radford's.
Exactly. Tom Radford's Rover, and this has got a personal touch because it didn't get out much, and it was a really young. It was like 21 when he built this. Unbelievable, with a twin turbo Chevy or something, or just turbocharged Chevy. Absolute madness.
It's 7/8 scale or something like that of a real SD1.
It's just, and it's a bit cut out the middle, and it turned. The first time I saw it, first time I ever knew anything about it, it pulled into the Dutch house. Little meat used to go when I was sort of like actually young, like 17, 18, and we just got cars. We went to the Dutch house in, I don't know where it is, South London.
Yeah,
it's close, but I want to say Eltham, maybe Elthamish, and it just pulled in, and just the fact that Rovers were quite common on the road at the time, an SD1, but I'd never seen one as a sports car. You just chop a bit out the middle of an SD1, and suddenly it looks a bit more like the Daytona it looked like before. But just it was like short and it was pink, which was the colour to have, that Porsche colour. Just to see it in the flesh was amazing, absolutely amazing. And just like never seen anything like it. In fact, never seen anything like it since, maybe.
Well, it's coming out next year. That has been a phrase you could have uttered for, I think, about the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a guy rebuilding it, and like, fair play to him. We all know how projects are. Don't we all know how projects are? So
it's blue now, isn't it, or is it coming back pink?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to put my flag in the ground to say it was coming back pink, but I was hoping it was. But yeah, it's
Oh yes, because it was like a dark sort of mid-metallic blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, he took it to Spain. I think he moved to Spain, took it with him, painted it because it was pink. So I think I'm done. Am I? Am I done?
Yeah, I think you're done. I think that's enough for you. You be quiet now, Dan.
You be quiet, you. Me.
Yeah, Dan.
So it's not so much cars over the years because, oh God, there's been so many and my tastes have changed. So sort of inspirational cars have also changed from, low riders to pro touring to customs and all sorts of things. There'd be hundreds of cars that have sort of inspired me to go in different directions. But really, if I go right the way back to the beginning, when I was a kid living in Southampton, there was a guy called Gary Cruz, and he was solely responsible for getting me into modified vehicles. Does he know? Probably not. He may see this video. Who knows? Gary Cruz from Southampton. I used to hang around Southampton town centre as a youth would in my 14/15-year-old years. And one day I saw a bright orange Austin A35 Pro Street, heavily chopped, very square, hood scoop on the front, huge tyres in the back, rumbling around. I don't think it had a particularly hot engine in it. It's probably just a mildly tuned or maybe even stock Rover V8 in it.
Rover V8.
Yeah.
Twin SUs by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Simon has very kindly dug into the car guide to find a picture of it.
Simon has used the car guide.
He has. It's brilliant. It didn't take him very long either. But yeah, that as a 15-year-old kid who I'd never really seen, you see the occasional classic car going around. I'd always been into cars ever since I was very, very small, pushing things around on the carpet and stuff. So I was into cars in general. That was really the first kind of modified car I ever saw. And I was like, wow, this thing's crazy. It's, even back in the late 80s, when car colours from the factory were a bit more interesting than stuff we get today, because it's in blacks and silvers and greys. Seeing something bright orange still really caught your eye. And when it was also an incredibly tiny, incredibly noisy thing chugging around the town centre, it really caught my eye. And I sort of started noticing magazines in WH Smith. So I was buying Street Machine and Custom Car, of which Simon has all of the collection alongside him there. And it was just a different sort of a different genre. And it really hooked my interest. And I just sort of got involved really interested in those cars. Then when I started driving myself, I'd go to shows. So I started going to the Nationals and things like that, and seeing the guys. Simon, who are the guys that always built the incredible?
Is that the Victory Wheelers? No, it was the
Victory. Well, the Victory Wheelers. Were they the guys? They weren't. No,
not the ones who roof chopped the bus. Is that what you're thinking?
Smoke City
That's
Wheelers.
the Smoke City Wheelers.
But no, the guys who always had the really crazy setups in the campsite, they'd like rig up front rooms and bars and things like that. They'd be infamous for it. They even did a 2-story house one year, I think.
Yeah.
Just like a temporary structure in the campsite. And they were just renowned for it. People will be probably screaming the name of them.
Put it in the comments. Right, interact.
Yeah, interactive. Press the red button now.
Press the red.
and then shortly after seeing Gary Cruz's 2 cars, there was also local to me. I lived just outside of Southampton city centre, so in the next road over, there was a lady called Sylvia, and she had a succession of I think they were 34 corner Ford kit cars. think if I remember rightly, her first one was a hard top and it was turquoise. And then I think I saw it smashed up one day. I think somebody had driven into it, or she'd pulled out in front of somebody, or whatever. It got into an accident, and it was either rebuilt or rebodied and then into a convertible. And that was the same, whatever that color, Porsche bright pinky red color was.
It's Carmen Rot, isn't it? Is that what
Carmen Rot? Yeah. Sorry, that was going around. Those two cars were going around. So they were also influential. It's like cars rather than seeing cars in a magazine first, it was cars I'd actually seen out in the flesh.
It's an interesting thing that's slightly different now because of internet and all that stuff. People see a lot of stuff all of the time, and you can like accidental your way into car world somewhere along the line. See a car and maybe you'll get dragged into it as a youth. But back then, you'd pick up a magazine or you'd have a local hero, which I always say to people, like, make sure you go out in your cars and you get seen in your cars, because you never know who's going to see it and go, oh man, that guy's cool, or that's a cool thing and I want to get involved in that. So that's pretty nice. So I have 3 cars. Hopefully we have enough time that I can get through them. So this might be quite quick. That I would say inspired me and across the generations of cars. So when I was a youth, my dad, I think just to get us out of the house, used to take us to Brands Hatch. So I think I mentioned this before a couple of times. My dad had lots of cars. Like, it would be Bangernomics nowadays. Like, he used to have a Wolseley 1660, be it in the 80s. That wasn't a classic car, that was just a banger. And he'd have I think at one point he had 7 cars, but a bit like the people around us have 7 cars. One of them works and that gets him to work, and all the rest of them he's still working on, and they're all bought cheaply. And eventually he did the thing and got rid of them all and just had one working car. But he used to get practical classics, classic and sports car, street machine, occasionally custom car and car conversions. And at weekends, we used to go to Brands Hatch and get us out of the house. And whilst I was at Brands Hatch, I used to see a chap called Jerry Marshall race, Aston Martin DBS V8, which was, I think, my favourite racing car just ever. Like, I've seen a lot of racing cars, seen a lot of Group C stuff, seen all sorts of stuff. Still, my favourite racing car ever was Jerry Marshall's DBS. It used to be blue, a light blue colour, or it used to be grey with light blue, and then it got the Evo version, which went to like a navy blue. It was a Marsh plant hire car, and that to me has always stuck with me. And I think it's part of the reason why I'm like, there's no car you can't modify, because it was an Aston Martin with a gigantic V8 basically mounted amidship. It's insane. It used to run in Thunder Saloons and then the Intermarch Championship. And the full circle thing on that is that car was at the first Retro Rides Weekender, because I know the guy that now owns it. He owns that and the Further Evolution version of that car. So he owned both of them. One day I'm going to buy one of them off of him and drive it myself. Yes, that is my sort of, I think, my first inspiration, but it wraps up a whole lot of stuff. It's like there's no limit to what you can modify. And, mid-mounting a V8 in an Aston Martin is perfectly legitimate, which I think is why I never got into the whole everything must be stock kind of world, which I could have done reading Practical Classics and Classic Sports Car. So then my second inspiration, it's much more direct, and that's Brian Burrows' Squareback. So this car came out, and I like it for 2 reasons. It not quite out of spite, but he did it because he built a car because he was getting bored of the same people winning Volksworld every year. This is his stated reason. I did an interview with him because I actually wrote a feature on this car when it came out, and he built the car because he wanted someone else. Effectively, he wanted to win Volksworld, but he wanted to use companies that didn't usually win Volksworld in order to build the car. So for those who don't know, there'll be pictures on screen. It's a really smooth and like kind of almost German look, but like beyond German look. VW Squareback, again, an unusual base for this kind of thing, with a Porsche 993. I think it might have been a 993 GT2 engine, actually, or GT3 engine in the back of it. back when they were cheap. The chassis was built by Chris Isaacs, and it's got carbon fiber on it. It's in 2004. It's got carbon fiber bumpers and all sorts. It's so far ahead of its time. And part of the reason it's an inspiration as well is, like, I knew Brian from the Volksworld Forum, Voltzone Forum, and we'd started Retro Rides, I think, by this time, or we were on the cusp of it. And Retro Cars magazine were out, and they said, I said I wanted to write a feature on it, and Simon said, yeah, sure. So I contacted Brian, and it let me sit in it and make brum brum noises at the Volksworld show, and like I was there, like it's just like really nice and welcoming guy, and that helped. That was a sort of bit of an inspiration. I was like, I've got this incredible car, but you're welcome to have a look around it and sit in it and take some photos and that sort of stuff. So, and then weirdly, a car we've all seen, and if I've got the magic right, there'll be a link up somewhere of our video of it. And that is the River City, I think it was a C10 camper van conversion. And there was a SEMA, the brown one with the
brown sugar.
Yeah, brown sugar. And the reason that's an inspiration is because it made me realize that anything can be awesome. Like, if you look at the base vehicle, if you look at the base one of those, they are ugly as all hell.
With the camper shell on them.
Yeah, with the camper shell. And the camper shells always look terrible. And like, they're ungainly and they're just awful. They're awful vehicles. But these guys have like looked at this and gone, all right, what we need to do. And they just made it look incredible. Like, the interior is incredible, sure. Like, nice interiors are a thing, but like it looks outside, it looks great. Proportions are great. It sits well. It was just kind of, I know everything has potential, but you do occasionally look at something and go, that's rubbish. Like, there's not much I can do with that. But like, these guys, like, no, we're gonna make something awesome out of this terrible vehicle. So
they did build another one like the year before. They built a blue one that wasn't quite so extreme.
Exactly.
And I think someone said, I want to buy it, and that's why they built the second one, isn't it? It's in the video, I guess.
It must be. Yeah, go look at the link. But yeah, they're my inspirations. I think they're
good choices.
Reasonable selection. Well, that's nice. So yeah, if you've got cars that inspired you to get into this stuff, like, put it in the comments, or there's always a forum thread around the stuff, so stick them in there as well, or alternatively. Thank you very much, chaps. I think we'll head to the news before coming back with our heroes. So news. Didn't think those guys were ever going to shut up. So it's the news. I guess the big news right now is Grand National Roadster Show happened last weekend, and America's Most Beautiful Roadster got crowned. This year it went to Jeff Brielt, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, and his 1934 Chevrolet Roadster, built by Devlin Rod and Customs of Wichita, Kansas. Unusual to see a Chevy 34 Roadster is a rare car in and of itself. So usually a 32 Ford. So this is a good thing, and the car's obviously spectacular. And alongside that, they have the Slonaka Award, which again, I hope I'm saying correctly. It's kind of the parallel to America's Most Beautiful Roadster for a car that's not a Roadster. And that did go to a 32 Ford, unusually though with a Cadillac engine. The Paul Gaunt Ford Coupe, designed by Eric Black and built by Troy Ladd at Hollywood Hot Rods, inspired by European sports cars. So think, Bugatti, Delahaye, all those sort of coach builders of that pre-war era. So really interesting bit of kit, and some really nice details on that. Absolutely outstanding stuff. Next up, we have Auto Heritage, who have just released the Ultimate History of British Car Advertising in the 20th Century. Very concise title. There's 16 individual paperback reference books across all British manufacturers, and they're done sort of year by year by year. Some sort of interesting and very of their time advertising in there. But they're worth a look. Link will be below. And finally, Hagerty have been on a bit of an acquiring spree, and they kind of purchased a number of events, so the Amelia Concours d'Elegance, the Concours d'Elegance of America, and the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance, and they've added to that Concours de Le Mans, which is, I guess, the American version of Festival of the Unexceptional. It's a bit of fun, but that'll be interesting to see what they do with that and where they go with that alongside their other brands. Are we going to see Pintos on Pebble Beach? We shall see. Anyway, back to those guys. They got stuff to talk about. Well, news. And now, Heroes of the Week. Right. Let's start with Simon.
I have got a hero of the week.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Who is your hero of the week?
I'll tell you who. It's Ron.
Tell us who.
Ron Carlston.
Who?
Ron Carlston.
You won't
Never
know.
heard of it.
No. Well, because as you know the Grand National Roadster Show is on as we speak, or setting up as we speak.
Yes.
And this year they've got a hall full of Volkswagens, full of some good old classic custom Volkswagens. Some like back to 89 vibes, and it's just famous stuff. It sounds flipping great. And it's kind of one of those wish I was there kind of scenarios. I was just looking at some pictures before we did this, and there's the Pink Lady, the old lowrider Beetle. That's very cool. And then I think the ZZ Top Beetle that was in the Street Machine feature, that's going to be there. And allegedly that's never been shown before. So that's really cool. Just there's been on the Volkswagen forums, but this is going like Beetles with scallops and just cool stuff like that. And even some of the original bikini models from Volkswagen Trends. If you like that sort of thing, meet your heroes.
Some of the original bikini women.
Yeah, the ones. Yeah.
They'll be getting on a bit now, won't they?
Enough of the bikini women.
That's it. Anyway, that wasn't my point. But the point was, some of the hot rodders have been going like Volkswagens. But this guy, Ron Carlston, posted a post on his Instagram and on Facebook that said, "Listen, this is how it started for me. I was a Volkswagen guy, and now I build hot rods." His hot rod's probably on the screen now. There we go.
Yeah,
lovely black 32 Ford, looking absolutely sweet. But he showed some details on it, which will probably turn up on your screen about now as well. That, if you recognise it, that's the inside of his 32. But that is a 55 oval window, ashtray, and glove box lid.
Oh.
So he's included. So basically, he stepped up and sort of went, look, I was a Volkswagen guy. Now I'm a hot rod guy. And people go both directions, and you shouldn't hate these things because they start people off. And that, you'd think,
Look at that.
yeah. I don't think I would have spotted that if he hadn't have said it. But he's included, an oval window Beetle tail light.
Because first glance you'd go, oh, they've gone the traditional one,
Yeah.
the 37.4 teardrops or whatever they are.
Yeah, it works really well, doesn't it? So yeah, he's my hero of the week because he's just, he's a guy that builds stuff. And has sort of stepped up and said, "Don't be snobs.
Don't be snobs." It's
snobs.
Definitely a good thing not to be in car circles.
That's it.
Talking of not being a snob, and actually this refers back a little bit to the everything has potential thing. So my hero of the week is this thing, which I'm hoping you can see.
So is that a U-Haul trailer? I can see that.
That's a U-Haul trailer. So this guy has, and he's a hero of the week for two reasons for me. Firstly, it's a absolutely slammed on the floor 610 with a U-Haul trailer on the back. I will put up a thing for the guy's Instagram account. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And I just love the fact that so you often find pickup trucks have either rotten beds or they've had their bed replaced and all that kind of stuff. And putting things in their place is a bit of an art. And I find that sometimes it can go very right, usually when they just put the original bed back on it, or it can go very wrong. And if someone had said, I put a U-Haul trailer instead of a bed on this vehicle, I'd have gone, no, you're all right. But it works great. I really like it. And
It's slamming, isn't it?
it's part, yeah, it's because of the height, and it all just makes sense proportionally as well. It just sort of weirdly works for me. I don't know why. It looks a little bit like those the Fiat 12, is it Fiat 124, Fiat 127?
Yeah, there's a
127
a
Gardeniera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Florino, isn't it? Or
Florino,
something like that.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Florino.
Yeah, it's like someone like pumped up one of them. I just quite
Yeah.
like it.
It's not dissimilar to the truck you were talking about earlier on.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see that.
It reminds me, I'm sure it's not the same one because that isn't a 610, but there's a YouTube channel called I think it's Puddin's Fab Shop.
All right, yes, I've heard of that.
And they have a similar U-Haul truck, but I think it's a C10 or an old Ford. But I think it's got the same box in the back. So I don't know if that's a trailer or it's just a small box from a small U-Haul truck.
Yeah.
Could be.
I'd say they could have like sectioned it and chopped it and stuff, but you can still see the logo, and it looks like it's all there. If they'd narrowed it, that would be the case. I noticed is that like a 27T body hanging over the top of it as well?
Yeah, could be. But the second reason why this guy is heroic is because that is the notch in order to make this work.
That's a V rather than a notch.
Well,
isn't it?
yeah, quite. Yeah, it's quite the angle they got going on there.
I was about to say it'd be quite useful because there's some room inside, but having seen that, there's no room in there. There's
I think that's
you can roll things over the hump, and then they're not going to roll around, are they? They're just going to sit against the back of the bed.
I think that's why you've got the height.
Yeah,
but even then, that's not a lot of height.
It's not a lot of height.
When you think about it,
it's Puddin's Fab Shop.
It is Puddin's. I didn't think that was a 610. I just remember seeing the U-Haul bit. But the photos are great. If you've ever seen an episode of the YouTube, they're quite hard work. They're quite deep south, should we say?
Right,
lovely. But so that vehicle there is my hero of the week. So yeah, that's not a bad pair of American. We need to find some UK heroes, I think. Well, actually, Dan has a UK hero.
I suppose, you could call Gary Cruz a UK hero of mine. He's my hero of the week because if it wasn't for his car rumbling around Southampton, I may not ever have got into modified vehicles.
Look at that. It's a beautiful thing.
And some people might say, I wish he hadn't.
I was about to say the opposite. I was going to say that kind of makes him my hero as well.
Oh,
there you go.
And Simon, you're my hero.
Oh, hang on a minute. This is again. So, well, you're my hero, David.
Oh, God.
Really
turning into a huge loving. Stop it.
Yeah.
We are the best. Yay. And if you think that's true, like and subscribe. Right.
And come to our shows.
Come to our shows.
Yeah, do that.
Buy some T-shirts and stuff and some stickers. Anyway, right. Thank you very much for that, gentlemen. We will be back next week if I haven't lost my mind editing these videos again. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Sayonara.